Welcome back to the Grim Workshop. Today we're going to be taking a little deeper dive into this no-heat improvised PVC survival bow. So I did a couple videos on these actually, and they're getting a lot of traction, and a lot of people have never seen these before. This is nothing new. The first person I'm really aware of that really promoted these was the Backyard Lawyer. He's got all kinds of videos on YouTube, and he does a lot more to them than just this. This is about as simple and as basic as you're going to get with this. So if you're brand new to archery, if you've never shot before, and you want to utilize some of those arrowheads that are on so many of the Grim cards, this is a great way to learn archery pretty inexpensively. And if you ever needed several bows to stock bug out locations, you can take these bows and they go from around 28 pounds to just under 50 pounds. Pretty darn easy. I've showed that in previous videos. So in addition to learning archery and to just stocking a bug out location or a bug out vehicle with a bow, this is something that if you ever needed to make a bow and fling arrows in a real life situation, this is a pretty good option for you right here. This is going to be something that's prevalent either in an urban or a rural situation. And the same principles that's going to apply to making this bow is going to apply to a lot of other materials that we're going to get into in later videos. So not only are these inexpensive, but they're really easy to make. Now I've got full tutorials out on how to build these things, but this is just a 3/4 inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe. This one's cut in half. So this is 60 inches exactly. I've got a notch cut about the width of my thumb from each end, and that's just going to hold a paracord string. Now that's tied on with a figure 8 knot. Now the poundage is going to vary a lot as well. I've shown in videos where I get from 28 to about 48. So it all depends on your experience level and your expectations for these bows. Now I've shown a lot of different materials that you can use to increase the draw weight on these bows. But for the most part, I've been using fiberglass driveway stakes. Now you can stack these, you can cut these, you can taper these until you have a pretty high performance bow. Now in its most basic form, you're going to be shooting this right off your knuckle. This is a simple D bow, but I've shown other options as well. I've shown you how to make a couple different versions of improvised arrow rest that's going to get the arrow up off your knuckle. So that's kind of the overview on our DIY improvised survival bows. You can go back, watch all the tutorials, watch all the videos, and start building these yourself. Now we're going to go a lot farther with these. I think this is kind of an important system, but keeping your bow, or at least one bow, in this simple primitive state is pretty darn important. Now if you're already an archer, chances are you don't shoot primitive equipment. And if you're one of those guys that scoffs at this just because it's a PVC bow and your primary concern is wilderness survival and there's no PVC out in the middle of the woods, well, if you build a bow in the woods, you're going to be following the same principles that I did when I made this PVC bow. And your bow is probably going to look and act and shoot a lot closer to a primitive D bow like this than a commercial bow. Now in the next video, we're going to deal with some of the problems that you have with these PVC survival bows. They are easy to make, they're inexpensive, they're really versatile bows, but they're definitely not without their shortcomings. Now if you haven't built one of these yet, you can do this all with Grim tools. You can do this in a shop setting. I'm going to be going over a lot of different build options on these bows, so you're going to want to stay current. If you haven't built the basic simple D bow yet, get started on that thing right away. Get your strings tight and let's fling some arrows.